I'm a pastor, an artist, an author, a scholar, and a conversation. Welcome to Chatfest with Kenneth. Hello, welcome to another episode of Chatfest with Kenneth. And for this episode, I'm actually going to be reminiscing on my experience as being a grand juror. Yes, I did have a moment when I served as a grand juror, and it turned out to be a very memorable experience that I will gladly do again. So, my guests today are actually some of my fellow grand jurors. We're gonna talk about the experience that we had. What was our anticipation about it, and what they came off with. Okay, guys. So today we have two of my fellow grand jurors who served with me during our time of our grand jury service, and here they are. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? So over to hello.
Hi, I'm Vicky. I served on the grand jury with Kenneth about a year ago.
Nah, it was more than a year ago. I think it was,
Was it more? 2 years? 2 years?
2 years ago or three. I think it was probably 3 years
Oh,
ago.
no, it was not 3 years ago.
It was too.
It had to be 19, I think.
Okay.
I think it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? And Natalie, you're not noisy now that you were listening to it. It's not noisy.
I feel like someone's gonna come up to me and talk, so I'm still gonna keep myself on mute. But hello, I'm Natalie.
Yeah, that's Natalie. So Natalie, can you say what industry you're in?
I'm actually in the federal government. I work for DHS.
Okay. And Vicky, what industry are you in?
Yes, I'm in the federal government as well, and I work in logistics for DOD.
Okay, I'm not in the federal government, so I don't know why they chose me to be a grand juror with these two federal government people. So let's see. What was your first impression about participating in a grand jury service when you got the letter to participate? What was your first impression? Who wants to go first?
So I can go first. So my first impression was I was excited because I wanted to experience how people get indicted and what the grand jury was all about. And based on what I experienced, it was nothing like I thought it was. So basically, it seems like everybody gets indicted. You know, if they bring you before the grand jury, you get indicted. And that was not what I expected.
We'll talk about that later.
Right.
What about you, Natalie? What was your first impression?
So I was excited. I mean, I hear all of my coworkers and some of my family members say, "Oh, I gotta serve on a jury. I have jury duty, etc." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So when I got my first letter, I was really, really excited. But I agree with Vicky. Like, it definitely wasn't what I expected for the grand jury. Maybe being on a jury would be different, but this was totally different than what I expected.
Okay. For me, I don't know if I guess it was something I'd never done. And it just seemed like there was a little threat in there that, oh, you have to do this. And so I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't have a choice. Let me go try it out and see. And so I was more out of curiosity in doing it. Okay, so on the day of selection, I think I made friends with about two people that were sitting next to me, and they said they were going to intentionally be polarizing so they would not be chosen. And I was like, oh, okay. So I made a choice not to be intentionally I wanted to be chosen. So I made sure I was, I guess you say, neutral. So my question to you is, did you think about your answers when they were asking you in your pre-qualifying questions so you'd be chosen, or was you just trying to be honest?
Well, for me, I just tried to be honest and answer my questions because, like I said, I wanted to be chosen. So I answered all the questions honestly and as truthfully as I could.
So what if your question was going to be, what if your answer was going to be polarizing? Did you think about that?
Nope. If it was the truth, I was going to say it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well. What about you?
I agree. I agree with Vicky. I was definitely just trying to tell the truth. I don't think I thought about any of my answers, or yeah, I just told the truth.
Okay. Okay. So we got chosen, we got selected, and I think a foreman was chosen, yada yada yada, and now they gave us a date. We showed up. Day one. What was your day one like? What did you expect? Do you have any expectations for day one?
I was scared. I remember like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. I don't know what to do. And I remember they asked me to be like secretary or something like.
Yes,
I
yes,
forgot
yes,
what it was.
yes, yes, yes. You were a secretary or something. That is true. You were taking notes.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember on the first day that they had chosen the people, period, and had selected the grand jury. For before she even announced it, I was thinking like, oh my god, I think she's gonna pick me. I think she's gonna pick me, and then lo and behold, she picked me, and I was all like, I don't even know what to do. Like, what is this? And then on the first day, when he was discussing the roles and responsibilities, I was all like, I gotta write a report at the end. Yeah, I didn't want to do any of that, but it was okay.
Vic, what about you? Your day one. Did you have any expectations?
I did not have any expectations on day one, and I didn't have any fear. I was
Oh,
just
really?
looking forward to it, actually. And I was looking forward to being out of work.
Yeah. How long was it? Was it 8 weeks or 6 weeks?
I think it was 6 weeks.
Was 6 weeks?
6 or 8. Yeah,
I
so I
think it
think
was
it was
eight.
6 weeks. 8?
2 months.
2 months? Maybe two
It
months.
was
Yeah.
2 months. It was two
Yeah, so
Okay.
months.
that was 8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
I think for
I
me,
actually look forward to it
I
every
was so
every.
nervous, though. I was so
Were
nervous.
you?
I don't know why I was nervous. I was like, oh God, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna make us do all this work? And
Yeah,
You were
agreed.
acting. You weren't acting nervous. I remember you being bold from day one.
okay, which is my next question. So my next
Everybody
question
remember
is,
him from day
oh
one.
Right.
Lord.
He was
My next question is,
unforgettable.
what was your impression about me when I started running my mouth?
My first impression, well, I got good vibes from you, I'll say that. But you always made me laugh. So I look forward to coming there and having our class always had a good discussion on the cases.
Yeah.
That was true as well. People really opened up and gave good input. But you always made me laugh. So that was
Why? How
refreshing.
did I make you laugh?
Just your commentary, and your personality. It's just who you are. You made class fun, but you had good input as well, so there was good balance.
Natalie, did I stress
Did.
out?
No, no, not at all. You were like the life of the party. You was
Exactly.
definitely the life of the jury. You know, like I mean, I feel like I think it was one weekend. I
That
mean,
I did not
one
show up.
one week that you missed,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's all like, oh, like it was like kind of like dead because like you just bring a certain energy. So yeah, I
Okay,
said, oh, he's gonna
so
be
for,
funny.
so for people who don't know, can you tell them what the process was like we arrived?
When we arrived the first day,
Yeah, like what was the daily process like when we showed up? So I'll start. We showed up and they will bring like I think the first day they brought like maybe
donuts or something.
15 cases or so, like this ridiculous number of cases, and then they go over each one. I think a representative of the state will be there, like a
Prosecution.
prosecuting attorney's
Mhm.
representative will be there, and I think his name was I can't remember what his name was.
Me either.
Yeah, the light-skinned guy. Can't remember what his name was.
Oh yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
So he will come, and then he's representing the state, but then he will present the case, and then expect us to make a indictment or not. But then the way the case was presented, it almost seemed it was presented in favor of the state.
All of them were. And that's, I guess that was my awakening of how grand juries are actually run, because they're not fair and they're ran to get an indictment, basically.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have any of the defense there. There's nothing they can say. There's no portrayal on their side. So you're just hearing a one-sided case. And who knows, they can write up the cases that that they put in front of us. They're already written, so they could be written with bias, and we're just reading what they want us to read, basically.
And then I think they bring, and then some cases they have witnesses.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And the witnesses come in, and the witnesses give, and then we can question the witnesses. And then I think a representative of the state too questions the witnesses. So I guess for me, the process seemed very, like you said, it just seemed biased. Like, okay, you want us to be fair, but where is the person defending on the other side? Who's going to speak for the other side? So I guess that's why I had a lot of questions because of that. And sometimes it seemed I was asking way too many questions.
Right.
I think that you asked all of our questions. Anytime like there was a question to be had, I felt like, like you beat everyone to the chase. So
because I was taking notes while you're talking. I was taking notes. Yeah. So I was taking notes when and they were giving their I guess their commentary. Oh, and then they also had a police officer reading.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember the day they brought somebody that didn't know how to read?
Yes, we were like, what? Yeah, I remember that. I was just going to say
was
that.
funny.
Remember that person who couldn't read?
Like, how did he get that far in his career without reading?
I know.
Exactly.
That was embarrassing. Like really, you're a law enforcement officer and you don't know how to read. Like no punctuation, you just going through. And then when you run out of breath, I guess you have the comma of period. Then when you catch your breath, you can just continue. And I was like, what in the world? Do not understand the thing, do not understand anything. Okay, I'll go. One thing I learned from that process was how prevalent crime was. Because I don't know what I don't know. I guess I just kind of assumed that crime wasn't happening. I don't know. But it just seemed like now I was thrust right into the thick of things, and I was being informed of what was really happening, how dumb criminals can be. Like you take your ID and go rob a place, and then you drop your ID in the place. Like
yes. Right. That was dumb.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was dumb. I think of what stood out for me too was a lot of the cases that involved incest or sexual abuse of children were Hispanics. Remember that was always stood out for us.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah, that was true. A lot of, and the women always seemed to somehow enter
side with the man.
Like when the child will
favor the man. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
they will believe
Side
the
with the
man.
man. Yep.
And it just seemed like over and over and over every case that had any incest situation, the woman believed the man and did not believe the child. And like, how would you bring some strange man into your house to live with you and your daughter, and he's not even related to you, and you leave this man with your daughter? Like, what in the world?
Yes, I don't get that. Women just think they need a man in their lives, and these women who are picking men over their children is just disgraceful. Because I wouldn't think children would lie about something like that, and I would believe my child before any man. So it's just
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then I think another case was somebody, I think they had more than one, where someone mailed drugs
oh yeah,
to his
I,
address.
right. I remember that
And
too.
then the FBI pretended they were UPS actually delivered it. But
That was so dumb,
I
so
know
stupid.
it just
It's ridiculous.
it just seemed like a lot of things that you kind of know because we've watched TV a lot. Somehow, I guess reality is stranger than fiction for real.
Definitely.
That was one that really stuck out to me. Let me see, what else do I have? Um, so out of everybody in there, how did we form a clique? Or why did we form a clique?
That is a good question. I think for me, it was the proximity sitting with you, because sometimes we would just be like, what did they say? Or can you believe that? We would have our own little conversation while they were conversating. So I think that's how I formed the clique with you. And just, like I said, you made me laugh every day. So I think that's how. And then maybe it was the people who are more vocal. I'm trying to
Okay,
think how else do we click with everybody. I clicked with everybody else that was not necessarily sitting with me. Maybe I think it was the people who were more vocal.
okay, that is true. What
Yeah, I
about you,
think it was the
Kenneth?
people.
I think it was the people who had like, I mean, you had your people that was like very, silent, kind of kept to themselves. But I think the people that were more willing to communicate,
Yes.
that had maybe more outgoing personalities, that wasn't
Yeah,
scared to talk or speak
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Okay.
And let's not forget about the Cal man. Like
Oh
Who?
we
yeah.
all formed a
No, we cannot
Wait a
have
minute.
this conversation without the kill man. For
Oh,
viewers,
the crap. Oh, yeah.
the
let me give you
Cal man.
so she's not here. I was hoping she was going to join us, but she's not here. Two ladies that were supposed to be here, they're not here. One of them introduced us to this kale man. So he sells kale from his home. And okay, here we and the way she was describing it to us was, oh, we drive our car and we go park by a tree, and then we text him, and then he comes kale. And I'm like, that sounds like a drug transaction.
And it's not even a tree. It's not just a tree. You got to park by the big tree. You
Yeah,
you
yeah.
failed to mention the big
By the
tree.
big
Right.
The kale was amazing though.
I know the kale was amazing, and I remember that prosecuting guy. I can't remember what his name was. He was like, I think he heard us talking about it. He was like, "Are you sure you guys are talking about food? This does not sound like food. This sounds like this sounds like you're going to buy something else because it just sounded so shady. The whole process of getting it sounded so shady, but yet the kale was awesome.
Amazing. I still
Amazing.
hit him up and I still stalk him to this day.
I know. And then so our clique, we now got we I think I initiated it, how we could stay connected, and we started our own group on Instagram.
Yep. I'm glad you did that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So last question for you. Let me see. Okay, now I have two more questions. So I think one of you probably has spoken on this. So, in hindsight, and with what you have experienced, do you feel that whole process? Do you agree with the process, or would you critique the process?
I think I would critique the process. I guess I didn't like the fact that the way the information was presented, more than likely would always get an indictment. And I think I don't know if it was one case or remember I think it was a prosecutor, the little white guy always wore the suit with the silver hair.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
It seems as if we had a question about a case, his question always leaned towards
Yes.
indicting someone. It never was, oh, well, maybe, let me rethink this, or maybe there's another side, but
It
they
was
always,
pro-indictment.
exactly. And I thought the grand jury was fair. Like one side presents something, then the other side, but I guess that's really the actual jury. So I was confusing the two. So it was a wake up call for me, but I still don't like the way that's done because the person is not given a fair shot. If you're presented before the grand jury in an indictment, you're more than likely going to be indicted.
I guess what he was saying was the indictment process is to see how eligible the case is, if the case is worthy of going to face a jury. So our job was to wait to see if it had
I
enough.
don't think that was it. I
Okay.
I I think that it was they were saying, whether or not they did it. Like if you believe that they did it, like if you believe that, okay, it wasn't like if they're guilty or not, but like did they
Is there enough
did they
evidence to
go to
suggest that they did it?
yes. Not but yeah, but it was whether the things on the sheet took place, not
Okay.
necessarily whether or not they were guilty or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it was real weird, and I definitely don't like the process. The fact I think that we went the whole time. I don't think that there was a time where not one person was indicted.
I think we did have some
One time,
where
yeah,
we
That one time, yeah,
it was one
where we
time,
voted,
one time,
yeah.
yeah, it was one time, right.
and
But
then I
that's
think there was one particular case where many of us, um, there was a conflict, there was a divide where we had to vote to agree.
Yeah, it was one.
Uh, some of us, I was like, nope, I don't believe it should go. And I was very vocal about it. And a few others felt they should be indicted. And I was like, nah, because I remember there was this particular one, it stands up in my mind, where the police said he was driving and he saw a guy asleep in his car.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
Yeah.
opened the door and then saw the guy was under the influence and he arrested him. And I was like, wait, hold on, but that just so when you see somebody asleep in the car, inebriated, you didn't think to call an ambulance. Your first instinct was, I'm gonna cuff you.
Right. I remember that one too. That was
It's
the
like that
one.
just seemed odd. Like, won't you think of this person's health and well-being? Rather, you just thought of let me incarcerate you. That was the first instinct.
Right. I remember that one too. That was the one. That was the only
And
one.
in context of what we are talking about, 3 days ago, the US Capitol thing happened.
Oh my goodness. Oh, don't even
So,
get me
in
started.
that context, if it was a white person lying down in the car, inebriated, will the first instinct be to incarcerate the person?
No,
Or
they probably would be like, "Sir, are you okay? How can we get you help? Are you all right?" That's probably what they would have done. White privilege is prevalent.
okay, Natalie, what you think?
I agree. I can't go into detail right now, but I
I
definitely
understand.
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, it was total,
That
two
was
different
ridiculous.
reactions. It
Yeah.
was totally ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, last question: if what would you say? And I want to get each of you your opinion. What would you say to people who are watching this? The opportunity to serve in a grand jury. Would you encourage? What would you tell them?
I would definitely encourage them so they could see how our judicial system works, and you can see both sides. We usually see the jury trial from all CSI and all these shows are on. We usually can see the jury and how the jury acts, but rarely. I don't think I've ever seen anything about a grand jury on TV. So that was my first and only experience, and I'm glad I did it. So I would encourage people, do your civic duty and participate on a grand jury if you get the opportunity.
Natalie?
You know what, I'm definitely sitting on the fence with it. So no, and I'm going to be 100% honest. So I'm definitely sitting on the fence with it. I feel like, on one hand, definitely do it. Definitely do it for the experience. Just so, like Vicky said, you can know how the judicial process works, etc. But on the other hand, I feel like, it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Like I just don't feel like it was fair. So
Yeah.
what did we do for real, for real?
Right. That
So
is true. That is true.
I mean, that's just my opinion, but
What about when they took us to the police thing and they did that whole shooting scenario? Did you learn anything from it?
Yeah, I enjoyed the shooting scenario, and I could see how, you got to be, quick on your feet and think through the process.
it's
Yeah.
I'm
You
sorry, can I
froze
comment?
already. Could you repeat yourself again, Vicky?
Okay, so I guess the part for me was when I was in those different scenarios, how quickly I fired. I mean, I really didn't get a chance to like assess the situation or think, okay, should I be firing? Or sometimes I was just like firing randomly,
Just
not
killing
even
everybody.
exactly. So yeah, that gave me pause to like
So that
think,
kind of
okay,
made you see the perspective of the police.
right.
Be more sympathetic towards them.
I won't go that far, but it did make me it did make me see if you're in, those kind of situations, how you just, are the fear and you're trying to protect yourself will come into play.
Okay. What about you?
So funny because I was one of the people that did the experiences also. And the honorary of it all is the fact that, I also saw how sticky the situation can be because, believe it or not, remember when I was sitting there saying how like I didn't shoot, like that wasn't me that shot. That was the other girl who shot. I know that I waited. And they was all like, oh no, it was yours that went off like that. And I'm like, I saw her sitting there shooting. Like I saw her. Like, so we had different I'm not sure how the things got mixed up, but I waited and she didn't, and she was shooting. So I was just like that definitely wasn't me. But if y'all say it was me, okay, like I'm not gonna. But yeah, that was really really crazy because I was like, oh, like what if this was a real life situation?
Okay.
Wow.
So, but for real, like that was definitely an eye opener for me because, like I said, I did the experience and I'm on the opposite side of the thing where I know that I did not. And because it was the fact that we were doing this experiment, I knew it was real. I mean, I knew it wasn't real. So I
Was it?
wanted to sit there and see, take my time and observe and everything like that. But then when it was all like, oh, you were trigger happy, yada, 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 I'm like, no, that wasn't me. I did not shoot that. So that was funny.
And also, what for me, what caught my attention was how everybody seemed to see something different. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I saw a man with a red shirt. No, she saw a man with a blue shirt. And I'm like, red and blue are not even the same. So how are you seeing something different from what I saw? And
Right. Right.
that just makes you begin to wonder all this eyewitness, like, oh, I saw this person do this, and so now someone is in jail because of what this person said, what some Becky or Karen said, and now
Right. Right.
yeah, it's like that just added a whole new dimension. And I remember there was once I shot somebody, and it was a wallet that was in the car. I saw something black, it was gone. Oh, you dead. Poop. So it just added a different perspective. But on the flip side of it, we were just average citizens who are not trained. The
There
police
you go.
are supposed to have been trained over and over and over.
Exactly.
They're
That
trained.
part.
So
That part. Yes.
like in my profession, I don't expect an average person to make the same analysis that I do in my profession because I'm an expert in my field.
Right.
Same way, you can't expect me to just show up one day and I'm supposed to understand and respond the way a police officer has been trained. If you're not trained to flight and what's that thing, fight or flight,
Fight or flight.
if you haven't had that intact, then you shouldn't be carrying a gun and a badge and be on the streets.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking this time to share your experience. And
Well,
it was,
thank you, Kenneth. I'm glad I can help you out today.
yeah,
Yes. Thank you.
you're welcome. And you
And
guys
good luck
have,
with your show.
yes, it is. I was
Good
hoping
luck. Good luck.
folks would be on here, but I guess they were busy. But hey, 2 is better than none.
There you go. There you go.
And that was a conversation with 2 of my fellow grand jurors. And it's interesting how the perspective that we each had regarding being a grand juror and what we took out of it. Feel free to comment, like, share this video. Also, support. It's always appreciated. And thank you again for watching, and you have a wonderful day.